Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to the Let's Talk Show Live. The Let's Talk Show Live runs on the Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. The Chalk Hill Community Radio Station is all about keeping the community connected, and we are going to be doing just that this afternoon. My name is Blaze, and I'm the host for this interview. I'm also the person that runs the Let's Talk show. I host that every Saturday here in the UK. So good afternoon and good morning, good evening, good night, depending on where you are listening from. I'm kind of feeling like we might have lost our host. She seems to have disappeared from the call. Oh, and she's back. Let's see if we can bring her back into focus, and then we will continue with the interview. And she's back. Vivienne, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant.
It sent me a message to say if I agree with the recording, and then it said reconnecting. So
okay, so you're back with us. So welcome to the Let's Talk show. Welcome to the UK also, and thank you for agreeing to take part in this interview. I'm very excited. I've heard lots of great stuff about the work that you have been doing here on tour. And so this afternoon really is going to be about your story. It's going to be about your journey. It's going to be about why you're here in the UK and why you do the things that you do. So you were born here in the UK in Bristol.
Yes, I was.
So tell us about life in the UK and what took you to the USA.
Life in the UK. So I had the middle child. I was the middle child, 5 children. My mum was married, and when I was about 2-3 years old, she got divorced and moved to London from Bristol. So I was raised in a very busy household. Yes, ma'am. Nice. I was raised in a very busy household, of course, you know, being of Caribbean descent. My mum being Caribbean, held down more than one job. So I was very into using my creative mind, you know, out of play, music. Me and my sisters used to do lots of creative things, make up songs and stuff like that. And so I've always liked writing. And
but then what age, I met Vivienne, would you say that you started writing? What age?
I really started getting into writing when I was 15, and I was actually writing poetry. I've probably got hundreds and hundreds of sheets of poetry that I've written. And then when I became a mother, obviously that preceded everything, that took over everything. So I stopped writing, and I started writing again once COVID hit. But I didn't write poetry. I started getting stories started coming to me.
Brilliant. So we're going to talk about the impact of COVID and when you transitioned from writing poetry to now writing books. So you described you were born in the UK, you lived in both Bristol and in London. You said you started writing when you was about 15, did you say?
Yes.
About 15 years old. So you were writing poetry. What were you writing poems about at 15?
Oh, let's think back. Now I can say it was about trauma, but then I didn't know what it was about. It was just things that were on my heart that I wanted to put down on paper. So trauma, love, relationships, my dreams, my aspirations, and then a lot of them were about my mum, and from a child's point of view, seeing what my mum went through. So I wrote a lot about that.
That's great, because lots of poets, if you listen to the spoken word, you will hear that actually they're telling stories, and often they're stories that are relatable, not just to the writer, but to those who are listening. And it's always a great thing when people write about stories that leave them vulnerable, because then it allows space for other people to do the same. So that was quite something at 15. That you know, that's really brilliant. So back then you said you got your source and ideas from your own kind of stories, your own life experiences. Where do you now get your source of information? Is it the same kind of aspect, or is it a bit wider than that?
Well, in particular, in regards to Princess Arjana and that book series, that just was given to me by the Most High. It
Mm,
literally was just given to me. And
I
so I
love that.
started writing down the information that was given, and then it kind of just evolved into a story. Once I got that, I basically read it to my husband, and he was like, that needs to be a book. I'm like,
I
for real?
love
He was
that.
like, yeah, you need to do a book. And then from there, just brainstorming with him, we've got probably about the next 5 or 6 books written, but they're not like down and ready to go, but they're in the process of being created.
Oh, fantastic. So we're going to speak some more about that. But I do want you to talk about Four Sisters, because I know before writing Princess Ajana, you've written Four Sisters. Tell us about Four Sisters.
Four Sisters was loosely based upon my childhood. So for the first part of my childhood, there was 4 girls, my 2 older sisters, myself and my baby sister, and my mum and my dad. And it was 11 years later, my baby brother came along. So I
Ah,
started, and that was a part. The reason why I created that is because me and my sisters have spoken about writing a book based on our lives. But
mm,
out of respect for my mother, we're not going to do it until much later in life. So
okay,
this
I
is
hear
like a
that.
childhood, like a soft version of
Mm.
that, a very soft version of that.
That's great. I love that because sometimes when we write things about ourselves, of course, it isn't really just about us. There are other people
Exactly.
involved, and then we have to kind of consider how that might impact them. So I love that you've written a soft version, and then later on, collectively, we look forward, I guess, to hearing uh, the other version at a different level. But at a
Absolutely.
very early age of 16, you received a scholarship. Tell us about the scholarship that you received.
I received a scholarship for culinary school. I that was based through the Tower Thistle Hotel in London by Tower Bridge. And I actually went to the interview. I was working full time already in a grocery store, and I literally was going through the newspaper one day, and there was an ad, and it said they said come and test out and have an interview, and we'll go from there. So I brought
Mm,
my mum with me because I was really only 15 when I did it, and
okay.
a couple of weeks later they called and said, "Fantastic, we love it. We want to give you a shot." And that's what happened. I did. That's how I got into the culinary arts.
So culinary as in food.
Yes,
Oh wow. So you love cooking as well then?
yes, I love cooking. I can't help it.
And do you still have time to cook with your busy schedule of writing books and now being a mother?
Yeah, I actually have a catering company back in the US.
Oh wow. So you're a multitasker. I love that. So you were a writer from an early age. You received scholarship. You've got culinary skills. You're great at doing cooking and also writing a combination of books. Um, what do your own children think about having a mum that's an author?
Oh, they love it. They're like, Mom, we're so proud. But yeah, they love it, and they have inspired me to basically be the best version of myself that I can be. I want my children to look back on my life in their own eyes and be proud of me and have something to strive for. And they always say, Mom, you need to sleep. You need to sleep.
Because
When
you're
do you
so
go to
busy.
sleep? You know, yeah. But they worry about me, but they love the fact that I'm fulfilling my dreams now and not waiting.
And do you talk to them about that, about the fact that the best ideas, they say, are often in the graveyard because we're never brave enough to write or to talk or experience our dreams. Do you talk to them about how they can, fulfill their dreams?
Yeah, I do. They're both of my girls. They're 2.5 years apart, and they're so similar, but yet they're so different. And
Oh,
so my oldest daughter, she's a singer, songwriter, composer. She
oh,
produces
nice.
music as well. And so she has so many natural abilities, and I want her to hone in on those and really go for it. And then my younger one, she's naturally gifted. She's a people person, but she doesn't like people. But
Oh, that's
people,
interesting.
children and people gravitate towards it. Right. So I told her, when you have a God gift, you need to hone in on it. Even if you don't run into it, at least take small steps and go into it
Mm,
so you can figure out what it is that you really should be doing with your life.
fantastic. Vivian, can you tell us how does the UK differ from the USA? Because you were already writing as a child when you're in the UK. You're now in the USA. How does that differ?
Um, in regards to actually being an author,
I
is
guess
that the question?
yeah, I guess being an author. Do you now write about things differently because you're living in a different place? Has that changed your style of writing?
I don't think my style of writing has changed that much. Because although I'm in a different country, I'm still the same person. I really have not changed that much. I've grown as a person, my knowledge has grown,
Yeah.
but anyone that knew me when I was a child, back then I was known as being feisty, right? Vivienne,
Okay.
she's so feisty. But and that was just because I was a tomboy till I was 15
Hmm.
and I didn't take any mess due to the trauma that I had suffered as a child.
Yeah.
Um, I got to a point in my life where I wasn't going to take anything from anybody.
Hmm.
So because of that, I became very verbal and very aggressive. And so,
Wow.
but I've matured and put
Mm,
that in its own space, and I know when and where to use it and when not to use it. In fact, sometimes I overcompensate and I'm very quiet in the beginning just so I
mm,
can assess and put people into little sections that I need them to be in so that I can,
sure.
be the best me.
So, Vivian, you talk about the trauma and how you've channeled that into your spoken word, into your writing. Would you say that you've used your pain and turned it into purpose? Does it feel like that for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think you have to put it somewhere, and I had to get it out of me because I knew that if it stayed in me any longer, it
Mm,
would grow and mature in such a negative way. And that's probably all anybody would ever receive from me. So in order for me to have a better life, I knew I had to physically remove it from myself. And one
mm,
way, if I could sing, oh my gosh, I would make some platinum selling albums.
wow.
But I can't sing, so I write.
Well, at least you're writing, so that's absolutely awesome. So you've discussed the fact that you know during lockdown, life changed for you. Tell us what lockdown was like for you.
Well, my kids had been out of the house for about 4 years, so it was just me and my husband and our dog Rottweiler, Ty,
Okay.
and so it was very stressful. It was very stressful. And then we basically decided we need to start like doing stuff in the
Mm,
house. Like, what can we do?
sure.
So he had his workshop eventually downstairs, and then we built our gym, so we had that. And then we just started finding stuff to do. I was baking homemade bread and started dabbling in writing again, and then was doing all sorts of things. So it was good for me that I was able to anything that I was experiencing at the time, I
Hmm.
could go ahead and channel that through to my writing. So it wasn't as bad as a lot of people had it. I didn't suffer from depression or anything like that. But we did get a bit of cabin fever, as we say.
Yeah, but did it allow you then to have some more space that you perhaps otherwise wouldn't have had in terms of being a bit more creative? Did it allow that for you?
Um, it did, but unfortunately, the way how I am is if you give me like 15 things to do, in other words, if you put a lot of things on my plate, I'll get 99% of that done. However,
Wow.
if you just put like one or two things on my plate, it's probably not going to get done. I probably won't touch anything.
So you like to be kept
That's just
busy, so
how
you're
I
kind of
am.
baking and writing at the same time.
Absolutely.
I love it. Hence my name being Blaze. I'm exactly
Absolutely.
the same. I love doing lots of things at the same time. And I guess that encourages you to continually create because you're often so busy. Tell us now about your book that you're here promoting in the UK. Tell us about that from the beginning.
Princess Arjana. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Like I said, creating that, I really feel like kind of bad when people say, "Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing concept, an amazing story," and it was given to me. I didn't sit there and like think for days on ends and weeks and months. Oh, what can I do? It literally was given to me. Um, the Most High just put it in my head, was like, write this down, and so I wrote a couple of lines, and then it just evolved from there. And Princess Ajana is a princess. She's an African princess. Um, she's born. The place where she's born is the land with no name. So that's kind of like a secret. So anybody on this Zoom, on this interview, you're getting some privy information right now. So she was.
So
The
Vivienne,
story
don't give
starts
them all the
where we
story,
find out
because we want them to. Don't give them all the story, because of course we want them
Okay.
to purchase it, and also to say to those of you that are on the
Right.
call, there is a bundle that you can win. So listen carefully,
Yes.
but we're not giving away all of the story. Back to you, Vivienne.
Okay. Well, thank you for saying that, because it's I'm very passionate about it, so I want to tell everybody. But the first book in the series basically introduces you to who she is, and it gives you a little sneak peek as to why she's so special. I will say to you, because it's actually advertised already, that her parents were expecting to have one child, and they ended up having twins, a boy and a girl. So her brother's name is Prince Alabu.
Nice.
Now, book one was like great, but I'm so excited about book two, because that's where everything like just takes off.
Fantastic. But you've been in the UK to promote book one, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And so how has your tour been? How has it been being in the UK and promoting your book?
We were received so phenomenally. It was amazing, amazing. I mean, this is where I was born, so it's always home to me, and it's always going to be home to me. So I knew that people were excited for me to be here, but I didn't. When you have your dream, is one thing to people say, "Oh, that's nice, well done," but when people really resonate with what your dream was or is, and they're on board with it, and they're giving you feedback, and it just blew my mind. I'm gonna get emotional and get tongue tied, but yeah,
wow.
I'm really amazed.
I can
My husband
feel
came
the
to
energy.
the launch.
I can feel the energy. I can feel the emotion,
Yes.
and that might well be because you described the idea and the source of the book being downloaded. And for those people that understand the download, it's when it's not really something that you feel came from you, but you feel it's something that came to you. And so in some ways it's perceived as a gift. You can see it as a gift from the ancestors, as you've described it. So that said, do you feel slightly differently about this series of books in relation to your other books? Is there a different feeling that goes with this?
Absolutely, absolutely. The four sisters series books. That one, it was emotional from the heart, right? That's a story that needs to be told, and that's generational. That's a part of my legacy. I want my children and my children's children, my nieces and my nephews, to have a window into what our childhood was and why we are the way we are. So that's like, I wasn't even gonna put those books out for the public. I was just gonna do it for my family, but I was like, oh, let me just put it out, and it's been received very well. But Princess Arjana, what hits home to me most is the fact that you find me worthy. You're giving me this.
Yeah, I can see how that's got you, but it is just that, because when you are in a space that you can receive and you are open to receiving, what a beautiful gift, what a beautiful feeling, and sometimes somewhat confusing, because you're kind of like, okay, this isn't even my story, but it's been given to me, and therefore you want to kind of deliver that in the best way possible. Were there any challenges for you in terms of writing this book? based on what we've just discussed?
The biggest challenge is when I'm given like a part of an idea to put inside the book and to get it down quick enough because I don't have control how it comes to me.
For
Sometimes I
sure.
might just get a couple of words and I start writing and the rest comes. Other times I have a video playing in my head and I can actually see it being played out in front of me. And so I have to put this into words. So I'm like, oh, hold on, let me write it down. And
I
so a lot
love
of times
that.
what I do is actually record it on my phone. And then that way later on when I have some time, I go in my office and I write it down.
Because often people who are authors have a small book that they carry with them all the time for when an idea comes to them. Are you somebody that has a
Right.
set time for writing? Do you say I'm going to write every day? Or do you kind of go with as and when the downloads come, or as and when you feel the movement to do some writing? What's your style?
Well, both really, because when it comes to me, I write it down. If I'm not in, 9 times out of 10, I'm not at home. So
Yeah.
when I get home and I have some downtime, I'll go in my office and then I put it down on my laptop.
What did it feel like? Because we often have visions, we often have dreams. What did it feel like when your very first book was completely published and landed on your doormat? What did that feel like for you?
Oh my gosh, I was overwhelmed. I actually did a Zoom call with my family. It
You did a
was it
Zoom
was
call.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing because they didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know I was writing it. And so when I showed my mum, she was like, wait a minute, this woman look like me. I was like, she
Oh,
looks nothing
wow.
like you. But yeah, so then she was like, wait. And then, being my mom, she was like, wait, where's your brother? Why isn't your brother in there? I said, because this is the first part of our life. He wasn't there. You didn't
Mm.
conceive him yet. So,
Do you think you're
yeah,
right about a
but it
brother,
was
having your
amazing.
brother? Do you think you're right about
Well,
your
the
brother?
four sisters. Oh yeah, he will come later on in that series in Four Sisters because he didn't come along till 11 years later, so he has to just wait
Ah,
his turn till he was born.
he's got to
Yeah,
wait. He's not yet conceived. He's got to wait. I love that. What have you most
yeah.
enjoyed about writing?
Um, I think it's gonna be the connection that I thought I had with the Most High,
Mm,
knowing that He chose me to do this. That's almost like confirmation that I knew there was something else I was supposed to be doing. I just didn't know what that something else was.
sure.
And just to give you a little snippet, back in around 2005, I had been divorced from my first husband about 3 or 4 years, single parent, the whole
Mm,
rigmarole, raising two girls on my own. And I started doing a little bit of writing, just a little bit of poetry. And I met this lady at work, and she basically told me she'd lost her husband. I went home, and I was working nights at the time, and I
mm.
had 3 words come into my head. I wrote those 3 words down. And by the next morning, I had a whole poem in my head, and I wrote it down. And my heart said, or the I was given,
Yeah.
buy a picture frame, put it in a frame, take it to her. So I did. And when I tell you, she lost it. And she was like, everything you've written in here, it makes so much sense to me. And
Mm,
so something else happened. And then I was meeting these people and getting connections with strangers. And I was getting words and I was writing them down. And that's how from
wow.
like 2004 to about 2013, I've written so many poems because it was given to me by, through the Most High for
Mm,
these people. And so for me, it's kind of continued, but it's taken a different turn. Do you see what I'm saying?
sure, I do.
Like that was my
100%.
purpose then, right? But my purpose ended for that particular work, and now he's given me a new purpose.
Absolutely. I love that. Would you describe yourself as an empath?
Yes, I don't like to say it.
Why do
Yeah,
you not like to say it? What does
yeah,
that word mean for you when that is said?
because okay, my oldest daughter's an empath, and my younger one is as well, but in a sort of different way. She's more
Mm,
balanced. My youngest daughter's more balanced. my oldest daughter is definitely 100% an empath. I see how she struggles in her life with relationships because she is an empath. And I look at myself and think, but that's not me. But really it is. It really is. You have to make some very tough choices when you're empath. And
Yeah.
it's some of the hardest choices are the ones that affect other people because you don't think about yourself and you always put yourself last.
Absolutely, because it can be one of those things that is really it's a lot. It's challenging. It's sometimes something that can wear you down. But for those on the call that are kind of working through the terminology used of empath, it really is that which Vivienne has described in terms of things are downloaded to you. Sometimes you get messages and you think, I don't know where to put this. It's a responsibility. You feel that of others. You carry the pain of others. But it's about whether you're in tune with that. When do you think you became in tune with that gift?
Oh, let's see, looking back, I would probably say when I was about 8 or 9.
Wow.
That's when I became aware of it. But when I was in tune with it, where I could actually be, what's the word I'm looking for? I could actually be, I've lost the word.
Do you mean able to receive it, to do
So
something with it?
not right to do something with it, because receiving it is one thing, but then now what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And so for a lot of years, I knew like around the age of 8, but then from 8 till about, I would say, yeah, 14, 15, I didn't know what to do with it. So I think my journey of having a constructive use of it really didn't start until I would say my late 20s, early 30s.
Sure. Because I guess life experience teaches us a lot of things. And you've spoken about writing The Four Sisters because that's a story of yourself and your three siblings, sisters. You've spoken now about having a brother who will come sometime later. You've spoken about, being married, being divorced, being a parent of two children. You've spoken about moving now to the USA and returning with your book, Returning Home. That's got to be a great feeling. You also speak about the fact that this story now, Princess Diana, was downloaded, and that it sometimes comes 3 words at a time. Sometimes it comes in a whole swoop, and that you have to record it. So that really is something. Vivienne, in the back of the books, you have some discussion pages. Tell us about those.
I thought that it was important as you go through the book series, you'll understand why or understand why that's back there. But I thought that it was important that for every part of her journey, every part of Princess Arjana's journey, in order for the children to get like an inside look at an in-depth look at where she is and where she's going, that it was important to put the information back there. So you're going to have an information page. Did you know, right? And that's going to basically give the children the resources because everything is at their fingertips right now. Everything is like digital things, but we be honest, we're not feeding them the right information. It's all the things that are flashy and quick. So, having a child read and now catching them while they're reading and giving them that practical information about different countries, different cultures, different people, different words, what the words mean. Just bringing the child to the front door and then allowing them to open it is important.
I love that because you've spoken about legacy, and really, we need to be telling our stories and not have other people tell the stories about us. We need to be telling our stories to our children. We need to be hearing the
Absolutely.
stories from our parents, so that they can pass on the information. Because, of course, most of us, our parents, are an aging community, and so they'll either not be able to remember or unfortunately, they transition to the next space and we don't get those stories. So it really is important. The work that you're doing is phenomenal. It's phenomenal because you're opening a space for people to understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to just put your words on paper, and it's okay to share it. It's great to make it into a book, and it's great for your children to see that you are openly expressive, and that not everything needs to remain a secret, because that which you have described will help someone else who's probably had a similar experience, and you've opened some doors. So that's phenomenal. I'm going to be opening the floor shortly to some questions. But I just want to remind everybody on the call that Vivienne has a bundle, so you guys could be in for a treat. Vivienne, what's in the bundle? What could they win?
I'm not telling them, it's a surprise. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, is it a surprise?
They can win, it's 2 books. Well, I could definitely get into 2 books, and you may or may not get, so everything is going to be that you can take that bundle and actually re-gift it if you so wish, for like a birthday, or Christmas is coming, or Kwanzaa. So yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it.
I like that. So I'm going to pose the question now, and then I'm going to encourage people to write in the chat, and then we've got a few more questions. No, I think we'll go to questions from the people on the call to see if anybody has anything they want to ask. So
lovely.
The question for the bundle is: Vivienne lived in the UK. Which 2 places did she live in? Which 2 towns did Vivienne live in when she was here in the UK? Which 2 towns? So if you want to be in it to win it, then please write in the chat. Which 2 places? Oh, well.
That was,
I guess
that
they
was
say
fast.
lose.
That was really fast.
Yeah, we do have a winner. So Queen. Oh, yeah, we do have a winner. Okay, someone said they're exempt. Okay, that's very kind of you. So we do have a winner. So there you go. Fantastic.
Well done.
Okay, so yes, well done. Let's give us some energy. So before we start rounding down the video, we're now going to open the floor to people taking. We're going to take some questions for anybody who wants to ask a question. So can we have a raise of hands if anybody would like to ask a question? So I can't see any hands going up as yet. Have you got any hands? Any questions? Maybe not a question. You might want to have a comment, and that too is fine. If you don't want to talk, maybe you can type it in the chat. Oh, okay, that's what I like. Okay, so let's go with Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, if you could unmute, let's hear your question.
Yeah, hello, Vivienne, isn't it? I just wanted to ask, is it easier, do you find it was easier to get where you are in LA? Was it well, I don't want to use the word struggle, but was it easier or hard to get where you are in LA, or?
So I think Anne-Marie's asking, is it more difficult in the USA compared to being in the UK to get on with writing a book?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, because I've been in the US since I was 18. So I never attempted to write a book in the UK. But I'm gonna guess with how everything is situated now, where if you want to learn or know something, or everything is at your fingertips by Google, right? So nobody taught me how to write. Obviously, that was a gift, but to be able to have my book published and all of that, get the right connections. I was going through Instagram, social medias, looking at people who publish books and making connections and making phone calls and sending out emails, and I did my research. before I even wrote a book, I was researching for about a year. After I wrote Four Sisters, I researched for 2 more years before I wrote Princess Arjana.
That's a great answer.
So,
That's a great kind of self-help answer. Because often when we go into these ventures, we think we have to do it all on our own. But it's great that you looked at different sources as to how you could get supported and how you could get the information that you needed. Before we go to Queen Helene, do you have a favourite author?
actually, I don't. I really don't. Um, I remember the first book that I ever read, and it was on the plane. I was going to Jamaica on my own for the first time. I was 15, and my mum said I could buy a book from W.H. Smith's inside the airport.
Yeah.
So I picked up the biggest book I could find, and it happened to be by Jackie Collins.
Oh yeah, I remember the days of Jackie Collins.
So that was the first book I read, and that was the first like novel book, thick book that I read, and I liked reading after that.
Fantastic. Yeah, the days of Jackie Collins. I would have to say I
Show my age,
read.
aren't I?
Yeah, I read a few of that. You look so much younger. Like, would you even know who Jackie Collins is? So I love that. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Queen Helene. I hope I've said that right. Pronounced your name correctly. Please correct me if I haven't.
Yeah, you're close. It's Helene, but that's fine.
Helene.
That's okay. I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. It's quite interesting to hear about everything. And just looking forward to more books coming up.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling, and thank you to Anne Marie as well. I appreciate it.
Brilliant. So you're not just an author though. You've now started creating toys. Am I right?
Yes. To go with, excuse me, dry throat. To go with Princess Arjana book series. We also created
Oh wow.
the doll. Yeah, and she has her crown. See her crown.
I love that.
She traveled on the airplane with me. Yeah, she sat next to me on the airplane.
That's great. That's a great promotional idea because people will ask you about it, right?
Right, and everyone's actually been getting really amazing feedback, but a lot of the parents are saying, well, where's the brother? So I said, well, Princess Arjana is first because the book series name is after her. So although the brother is featured in the book also, he's going to come after.
There seems to be a theme, doesn't there? Because in the Four Sisters, your mum's saying, where's your brother? And now with this series, people are saying, where's the brother? Had you noticed that before?
Right. No, it's funny you just said it. And they were like, the light bulb went off.
There seems to be a theme. So is the book and the doll, and the merchandise, is it available internationally?
It will be available internationally. The books are available internationally, online as well as in the bookstores. While I was here 4 or 5 days ago now, I got confirmation that the books are now available in store at Waterstone. I think that's the biggest selling bookstore in the UK. And then Books A Million and Barnes and Nobles in the US, which Barnes and Nobles is the largest book retail store, which with over 653 stores, so it's available there. So that was definitely icing on the cake. Yeah, we celebrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and was that a challenge? Getting it into Waterstones, for example.
No. I didn't do the work.
I
mean, I created the book and I did that work, but it was the publishing company that takes care of everything else. Brilliant. So I have them to thank.
That's really great. So we can at least get the book here in Waterstones and the doll?
No, the book you can get, at Waterstones, you're correct, and also on Amazon.com. All of my books are available on Amazon.com. The doll, we're going to be opening up pre-ordering real soon. But if you basically follow her, she has her own Instagram. So if you follow her on Instagram, all of our information is released on Instagram.
I love that.
So you'll be ready to pre-order once the pre-order opens.
There's her own Instagram page. I love that. I'm just about to get into grips with Instagram myself, so I might have to have a word with her about how she manages her own site. Listen, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest. I've loved hearing your story. I've loved your journey from the UK, Bristol, London, your journey to Jamaica by yourself. Reading Jackie Collins, that took me all the way back. I was on the plane actually, so I've had a bit of a feel of that plane journey and traveling back to Jamaica. And then your life now in the USA, and the fact that you've returned with Princess Ajana and her book, her doll, her own Instagram page, and how you've inspired people on the call today to, just do your thing, you've spoken about your gift, that you receive the downloads, and you are in awe that you have been chosen to do this writing. So long may it continue. Pamela also talks about the Jackie Collins books. They were the books back then, so we're all showing our ages.
Right.
So well done. Well done. So, in fact, there was a series, there was a film. It was just a fantastic time. But I think what's important about the work that you're doing, whilst we are talking about Jackie Collins and that being great, was that back then, at that time, we were not seeing real representation of people from the African diaspora. We were not seeing that in novels. We were not seeing that in children's books. So you really have bucked the trend, or continue with that trend. And you torchbear, really. You're one of the torchbearers that we are grateful to have. There's real gratitude there, because we need to tell our stories, and we need our children to see a positive reflection of our awesomeness, of ourselves, so that we can love and understand ourselves. And so I want to commend you on doing that great piece of work, and just ask you to continue.
I appreciate it.
I do want to ask you. You are very welcome. I do want to ask you, though, before we round up, if you were to be stuck in a lift, who would you want to be stuck in a lift with, and what might you ask them? They could be living or dead. Who would you want to have a conversation with?
My husband.
Oh, nice. And what would you ask him? What might you talk about? Well, within reason, of course. It is 1:30 in the afternoon. What might you talk about?
So I had to take it down a notch when you said that.
Yeah.
The reason why I said my husband is because your question, the first part of your question was, who would you want to be stuck in a lift with? He's the one who I'd want to be stuck in a lift with. He's my backbone. He really is he's the other part of me. Other than my children, he really is a part of me. If it wasn't for him, I don't think that I would be doing any of this. He's allowed me to be who I am, no questions asked. When I fall, he's there to catch me. When I'm down, he's there picking me up, So he really truly allows me, and I say that with the most respect, not any kind of control or anything like that, in the most sincere manner, So it would be him. It truly would be him.
Do you know, I absolutely love that, because often when I ask people that question, they think about somebody who's super, super well known and absolutely famous, or someone who's already gone. And we forget to recognize the heroes that are in our lives right now. And there are everyday heroes. And we sit amongst our heroes. We sit amongst so many great people, and we forget to acknowledge that. So I, want to say thank you to your husband. Because of him, you're saying he's allowed you to be who you are. Thank you to the ancestors, because they've chosen you to download. And thank you for spending your afternoon with us, sharing your gift. I also want to say thank you to everybody on the call. Well done for the winner. Well done to the winner. And thank you for those of you that contributed and asked some questions. And shout out to Coral, who has been my co-host and who introduced me to our beautiful guest today, and has allowed me to take part in sharing your space. So Vivienne, any final words from you before we go?
Absolutely. From the bottom of my heart, I really do want to thank, first of all, Smart Kiddies. They're located in Elephant and Castle. They are absolutely amazing. They worked with us and allowed us to do our launch there. So that was phenomenal. And they pulled out all the stops. It was amazing, wonderful. I can't say enough about them. And then also the bonding school, childminders, absolutely amazing again. We were able to come in and read to the children and took pictures and everything. It was the energy that we felt when we walked in there. I knew that was the Most High that put them in the line for us to receive. So that was amazing. And then last but not least, South London College. Big shout out to you guys. They had the media team come in. We was able to interact with the children. We interacted with the staff, and yeah, it was unbelievable. Really, I say unbelievable, but it's believable because I believe in the Most High. So absolutely amazing.
I get that. Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
You do kind of say that, don't you? Like, wow, I can't believe that, but actually, you do believe it. It's just that kind of that confirmation. It's the excitement with the confirmation that you can hardly even name it because it is what it is. So I get that.
Absolutely.
So this has been the Let's Talk Show live. My guest today has been phenomenal. Look out for Princess Ajana. Look out for when the dolls come. And guys, look out for when the brothers show up, both alongside the four sisters and alongside our beautiful Princess Ajana. Vivienne, it's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you today. And I look forward to when you return to the UK with whatever it is you have in store for us next. And bring some of that great cuisine I hear that you've won a scholarship for. Don't forget to bring some of that. So it has been the Let's Talk Show live. I'm your girl Blaze, and I'm